ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Good evening, CoreTV News on the hour. I'm Tolu Ojewumi. The federal government says it will host a dinner to raise funds for victims of terror attacks in the country. This was one of the decisions taken at the Federal Executive Council meeting in Abuja. Briefing newsmen after the meeting, Information Minister Labaran Maku said the dinner slated for Thursday is one of a series of fundraising initiatives for Boko Haram victims.
To the Government of Federation Brief Council on preparations for the launching tomorrow, for the fundraising tomorrow, to raise funds for the Victims of Terrorism Foundation, which was earlier floated by Mr. President. The SGF informed us that tomorrow the President will host a fundraising dinner here at the Presidential Banquet Hall for the private sector, for international foundations and funding agencies, as well as for all Nigerians to contribute to the fund, which is specifically floated to support victims of terrorism in our country. Mr. President himself told us in council that this launch is so significant, and he urged all Nigerians, particularly citizens who are in business, who have the opportunity to make contribution to do something for our less fortunate citizens who have fallen victim to terror. What is significant about this foundation is that the funding will be managed independently of government. Government is not going to be the one to manage the funds that are raised, but the committee will be providing funding based on a mechanism that will track those who have been affected by terror and will provide support for them.
Unconfirmed reports say a suicide bomber was behind today's bomb attack in Caddo. The bomb went off on the premises of Caddo State Polytechnic some hours ago at a spot where students were checking their results on the notice board. The police have confirmed the latest bomb attack, in which it's the 5th in 4 days. More details in our subsequent bulletins. Now, a bomb blast in Portugal State on Tuesday night allegedly claimed an unknown number of lives, though there has been no official confirmation of the casualty figure from the blast. Many are, however, feared dead due to the blast occurring in a very busy part of the city. No group has claimed responsibility for the explosion, but many will point accusing fingers at the terrorist group Boko Haram. We'll bring you details in our subsequent bulletins. Nigeria has formally launched a new 64-page passport. The new travel document is meant for frequent travelers and will be used side by side with the current 32-page passport. The new passport was formally unveiled at the presidential villa on Wednesday, with President Goodluck Jonathan tasking Nigerians to protect the country's image.
It is my singular privilege and honor that after the launching of the 64-page e-passport by Mr. President and the captain of his details, that the passport is now ready for presentation to His Excellency.
One thing one must know today is not the issue of a 64-page e-passport that is key to Nigerians, but the security of our passport. If our passport could be easily fixed by criminals, then we have problems. One thing again is that how can Nigerians get passports easily, especially Nigerians living outside this country? Because wherever I travel to, there's this complaint of how they get the Nigerian passport. Not necessarily this is the four-piece transport and passport, but how do they get transport? So the ministry must look into this. And what affects almost every traveler is how efficient and committed are the immigration officers working at our airports. Visitors that come into the country have different impressions about the immigration officers. So they must improve. They are the image of this country. How they handle visitors to this country matters so much.
Nigerians have been advised to resist the spread of Ebola virus by complying with health standards prescribed by medical experts. A medical doctor, Adeye Yarigbabu, says there is need for increased public sensitization on the disease and the commitment from the government by investing more in providing solution to the outbreak.
Just create an enabling environment for them, motivate them, spin them, kickstart the engine. You see the way we move as a nation. So that's all this one, we put on gloves, fighting each other, boxing, blacklisting, challenging, killing, bombing, all of these, we're doing social restiveness. And let me tell you, all these social hazards that we're having around us, they are enough to cause distraction. But we should begin to look at fundamental things. Health is wealth. If we are not healthy, we are not worthy.
Commending the Lagos State government on the speedy approach to sensitizing Nigerians, a public affairs analyst says Nigerians should quit making fun of the issue.
There have been all kinds of enlightenment campaigns, going on in the country. People have been told what to do, how to do it, how to react, to this particular, disease, and that is what I expect. The issue of people now wearing helmets and hand gloves and so on the internet and so on, I want to believe that they are trivializing the situation. It's much more serious than that. So I would expect that people, first of all those don'ts that they have told, Nigerians, not to, all those things they've told them not to do, like, staying away from bushmeat, which is a carrier of this virus. I think they should do their best to ensure that they avoid such, delicacies at this particular point in time until this particular virus, this particular epidemic blows out.
Scientists under the aegis of the Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria and Cross River State are calling on the federal government to urgently put in place effective emergency response mechanism to prevent the outbreak of the Ebola virus in the country. They made their position known at a one-day workshop in Calabar entitled Ebola Virus, an Emerging Global Challenge. Chairman of the association, Gloria Achibong, says it has become imperative for the Nigerian public to be properly educated as the threat was on the increase daily. She appealed to the federal government to ensure that mechanisms were put in place to check the virus in the country. A consultant microbiologist at the University of Calabar, Michael Use, added that it was time for Nigeria to take the threat of the virus seriously. Now, the election petition tribunal sitting in Ado-Ekiti on the conduct of the June 21 governorship election in Ekiti State has granted the request of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to inspect materials used for the election. Rashid was there and filed in this report.
The strike embarked upon by members of the Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria may have put courts under lock and key, but the tribunal headed by Justice Muhammad Sirajo had the application brought before it by the People's Democratic Party. The court granted the leave of the party on inspection of materials used during the election, as earlier requested by the All Progressives Congress.
The government of our application today is that the Honorable Tribunal grant us leave to inspect electoral materials used during the June 21 election. In view of the serious allegations made by the petitioner, that is the APC, in their petition, saying that some of the electoral materials, particularly the ballot paper, that the ballot paper was predetermined or programmed.
The court, in listening to the applications brought by the PDP, however, declined its third prayer on the ground that it was not necessary, but approved the 3 others.
The prayer number 3 that was not granted, we were seeking for an order that the Honorable Tribunal should direct that security agencies should be present while we are inspecting. It is the duty of INEC to provide security, that they will provide it, that we don't need an order of court for that.
Though the petitioner was not represented by any counsel, this, however, did not stop the panel, which has Justice Isa Getza and Chiboke Auchachagu as members, in calling the attention of the respondent to a typographical error in the application filed and the submission of affidavits without the name of the counsel to the respondent. But this altogether did not stop the granting of the application by the respondents.
Any other party that is interested in inspecting should also be allowed. We should be allowed to make certified true copies or to scan the materials used and all that.
With the tribunal granting the request of the PDP and the APC for inspection of ballot materials for verification, the stage is now set for the tribunal to begin hearing of the substantive petition. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado-Ekiti.
Still in Ekiti State, the Governor Caddo has signed into law the bill to create additional local council development areas from the existing 16 local government areas in the state. Rashid was at the executive and legislative signing ceremony and brought back this report.
Since the proposal of the creation of local council development areas in Ekiti in January, the move has attracted both positive and negative reactions. With the presentation of the report of the Committee on Referendum having been passed by the State House of Assembly, Speaker Adewale Omirin says the House is addressing the wishes of Ekiti people with the bill.
Members of the House of Assembly were gathered on the 8-point agenda, especially the declaration in the 8-point agenda for participatory governance, which implementation gives rights to demands by the people from one local government to enhance development in local communities where most of our people live.
The Governor, Kayode Fayemi, while speaking, thanked all concerned stakeholders for their contribution to the whole process. Fayemi says the creation of local councils is for the benefit of all.
I want to seize this opportunity to commend and congratulate the representatives of our people for the enormous work put into completing this assignment, for their considerable conflict management skills, and for their commitment to ensuring that this cardinal objective of our government is fulfilled.
Drawing from the report of the Asset Sharing Committee, which had come up with a formula to ensure the smooth takeoff of all local council development areas, the Governor ordered for the immediate takeoff of the local councils with the immediate release of takeoff grants and other administrative logistics.
All of the new local government areas will come into immediate effect in all the areas affected, following the necessary sharing of the assets and the necessary implementation of administrative responsibility.
With the signing of the Local Council Creation Bill into law, Ekiti now has 35 local government areas. The signing into law created 19 new local councils with the former 16, but this may not be the end of the matter, as the PDP kicks against the move with a case still before the courts. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado-Ekiti.
From Ekiti State, our ship now docks in Osun State, where the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, the forthcoming election, Iyola Omisore, says his government will put in place a structure that recognizes the traditional institution in the state if voted into office. Omisore made the statement when he took his campaign train to Ilesha local government area of the state. Frank Amalape has details.
Flanked by his supporters, Omisore's first point of call was the palace of Ilesha, Oba Gabriel Adikle, to pay homage. While berating the spate of neglect for traditional rulers in the state, Omishore says if government of the People's Democratic Party will restore the traditional structure when voted into office.
But because we have successfully put the setting behind us, we are putting the governance, the political structure far ahead of traditional setting. Has not been used against us in the issue of Boko Haram, other these violent tendencies. So the government of PDP coming on board in less than 3 weeks' time, by the grace of God, ensure a pride of place, a rightful place, a successful and a fully integrated traditional setting.
Responding to accusations by the ruling All Progressives Congress in the state that the PDP is an exploitative party, Ben Folasha Degrees dismissed the APC statement.
So for we that are supposed to be taking care of the lives and the property of people, we will now turn around to fight the same people. This is the propaganda of the IS order. It's an high-tech propaganda, and it's not going to go anywhere, because on the 9th of August, the people of Osun State will speak, and they will speak with their votes.
Some of the PDP stalwarts present were optimistic of the party's victory in the coming election.
Already, the APC, they are very jittery. They are calling for postponement of election. So, but I can assure you that we rely on the grace of God and on the grace of the people. We win the election all over Osun State.
We don't bring people together at once, every time and say we are having mega rally. So I think we have communicated with the people of Osun State, and I think they are desirous of a change, and that's why I believe that Omishore will be successful come 9th August.
The governorship candidate says the Elisha outcome is as a result of grassroots campaign.
House to house, door to door, neighbor to neighbor. And of course, it's obvious you can see what's happening here. It has been good reception across everywhere. We have blessings everywhere. And it shows that Osun people are ready for a change.
The Osun governorship elections is just days away, and efforts by political parties have intensified and seeking to win voters. Franco Malape, CoreTV News, Elisha.
We'll come back to Lagos State, and here the Minister of State for Defense, Musila Banekoro, has assured residents and business operators along the Apapa Express Road that the federal government is committed to making the road motorable. He made this known during a tour of the road in Apapa alongside the Nigerian Navy on Motaya Law Hospitals.
The deplorable state of the Lagos-Apapa Express Road has raised a lot of concern in the past few months. Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola visited the area on several occasions to ascertain the compliance of the directives given to tanker drivers to desist from parking on the road, while calling on the federal government to wake up to its responsibilities. The Minister of State for Defense took a tour of the road and commended the effort of the Nigerian Navy. He encouraged the Lagos State government to continue in its efforts of making the road motorable.
There is need for the state to have a permanent holding bay for the truck drivers. It is when we have that, then we can have a radio link between the port and the stakeholders, so that whenever the port is ready to have them, then there will be a radio communication, and then they can now proceed to go in there. That we cannot afford not to do as quickly as possible.
Representatives of the Association of Apapa residents and business operators say they had to bear a lot of pain daily due to the bad condition of the road. They commended the Nigerian Navy of its support and called on other government parastatals to follow suit.
If all the agencies are able to come together in one committee and work together, this matter will be not fully resolved, but it will create an environment where traffic can flow and the people who need to go to the ports can get to the ports.
The gridlock in Apapa became a concern to every Nigerian. And Navy they want to provide security within the waterfronts and its environs, Apapa. And because of the security threat that this gridlock is causing, they cannot sit down and fold their arms not to interfere.
The Flag Officer Commanding Western Naval Command, Sami Aladi, says the intervention of the Nigerian Navy to clear the road was not only to free the area of traffic gridlock, but also to reduce the security threat in the area.
What we are doing particularly is to partner with other stakeholders, because we cannot do it alone. And as a matter of fact, my duty is not to clear roads.
But because of the security implication of what is happening in Apapa, we had to, take action, to make sure that traffic, flows, in Apapa area.
Residents of Apapa have expressed hope that the frequent visits of top government officials will translate to the construction of the road. Omotayo Alo, CoreTV News, Lagos.
CoreTV News at 7 is reaching you from the city of Lagos in Nigeria. And now, New Delhi's Narendra Modi is hosting Washington's John Kerry for talks. Stay with us.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website, www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then news. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Nigerians continue to
Tonight, the city of Lagos went at dark as all routes.
Be the first to know. From the north, south, east, west, and around Africa, we break the news.
One Nigeria.
Now you can catch all the actions live as the news breaks. We are CoreTV News.
Welcome to CoreTV,
a 24-hour news station.
Moving on, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is in India for ice-breaking talks with new Prime Minister Narendra Modi, forecasting a transformation in Washington's traveled relations with New Delhi. Kerry, who landed in Delhi on an overnight flight from Washington, is the highest-ranking member of the Obama administration to visit India since the Hindu nationalist Modi won a landslide election in May. The top diplomat's trip is intended to pave the way for a visit by Modi to the United States later this year, nearly a decade after he was denied a visa over deadly anti-Muslim riots. For the past 2 decades, the world's 2 largest democracies have described themselves as natural allies, sharing similar concerns over China's rise in Islamic extremism. But incidents including the U.S. arrest of an Indian diplomat last year sent ties plunging to their lowest point in years, and analysts say Modi's previous treatment as a pariah still rankles. That's the final whistle. Thanks for watching. I'm Tolu Ojewumi. Good evening.
CoreTV News.